Whorlton Castle is a ruined 14th century tower house on the site of a Norman motte-and-bailey fortification, built on the spur of the Cleveland Hills. Only the castle gatehouse and the vaulted undercroft of the tower house remain. Well, hello guys, this is MC Urban Exploration, and as promised in the premiere that we showed earlier this week, we are at Halton, or Whorlton Castle, which, however you want to pronounce it.
Yes, an amazing structure built way back in the day, not only to house a family or families in this location, but also a part of a defence system, which Paul's going to tell you about.
Right, so before we actually get on to the about the defences, which you mentioned you want me to talk about.
Yes.
I just want to say that we're at Halton Castle, as I've stated, but this is built on the site of an old motte-and-bailey, a Norman motte-and-bailey, I believe.
Yes, yes. This one was built around the 12th century. Is that
14th
right?
century.
14th century,
yeah, 14th
sorry.
Century this.
But previous to that, there was originally a wooden structure
That's
here,
right,
which
yeah.
would have been the same kind of infrastructure.
It was. I think it's somewhere around here, wasn't it?
I think it's said to be on the northwest side of the Cleveland Hills, the
Yeah.
map location back in the olden day.
Yeah, I mean this castle actually came about after the Battle of Hastings in 1066, where William fought King Harold and gained the crown of England, didn't he?
That's right.
But the northern folk, such as we are up here, rebelled against the southerners. William decided to send a swathe of men up here to destroy everything up here, and I think it was known as the Harrying of the North.
The Harrying of the North, yes.
Yes, so and he also instructed his barons and that to build places such as this so they could keep an eye on the northern folk.
That's right. This was here for a period of till the 14th century.
It started in the 14th century,
Yep.
This particular one, didn't it?
And then it went into kind of mixed ownership before
It did.
being extended, but we're going to cover that very shortly.
We are going to cover that. We're going to show you some drone footage of this place because it is a beautiful place, and there's behind the camera is the
Undercrops or the cellars.
yeah, so we'll show you those two, and I'll do some narration over that and give you some of the history, and after that then me and Neil are going to have a good walk around, aren't we?
With our cameras,
Yeah.
and show you what the insides look like, and there's some beautiful architecture going on in there, and we'll talk about that as we're filming. Thank you.
The first castle was a rudimentary motte-and-bailey earthwork, topped by a timber palisade. It occupied Castle Bank, a spur of the Cleveland Hills. One very unusual feature is that the motte was square, rather than the more typical oval shape. The bailey was rectangular, and nearby was a park reserved for the lord's hunting. The house was defended by a curtain wall. An inner ward reached through an impressive stone gatehouse, and this 14th century gatehouse is all that remains of Halton Castle today. It was possibly from Halton Castle that Lady Margaret Douglas, the Countess of Lennox, wrote to her niece Mary Queen of Scots in 1561 to propose a marriage between Mary and her son Henry Stuart, Lord Darnley. I remember when we first came here before, Neil,
Yep.
and we did our very first video. We weren't able to get in here, were we?
No, we weren't. We had to.
We could just push the camera through these gates, but the youth of today seem to have taken it upon themselves to cut.
To spoil things.
Well, they always do spoil things. This was a three-storey building, I'm right in saying that?
Yes, this being ground floor, first and second. Is that how
Well,
you
what I
describe it?
believe here, where we're stood here, we've
Yep.
got this archway here.
Of course.
That's correct. And Also the same here. There'll have been an arch over the top of this part.
Yes,
I
the
believe.
evidence is here, as you can see.
So you can see up here somewhere there will have been an arch. So this, you couldn't access those parts.
No, no.
You couldn't access them parts, could you? From this entrance here, this would just bring you through. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so like when you first walk into a cathedral and you've got that rib cage like structure which all meet in a central point, which would have been the strongest point. I forget the terminology for it. So that keystone area of the arch, that all these 3 points would have, sorry, 4 points would have all came to a central point.
Right.
Although we can see cobble-like stone on the bottom, I don't believe that is original, because they have said that the original floor in this is missing. What was once here is either underneath
Are
it.
you sure that what they're actually saying when they do say that in the evidence that we have got is that the original floors are missing?
Ah, right,
And
of course,
which we're
yes.
talking about these floors here.
Yes, yeah.
And the one above that, but
Yeah.
not this one in particular.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. So the original floors
Yeah.
from ground to first to second,
yeah, exactly.
of
I
course,
think
are
that's
missing.
what they're talking about
Yeah.
when they're saying original floors have gone.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Right.
As you can see, just like how the masons made structure buildings like this, they always made a mortise point where the wooden beams would have went into. And as we can see up here, where there's 5 on that side, and then we've got 5 on this side, strong oak-like beams would have went across.
That's correct, yeah.
And sat within there. It's known as a double-skinned fortress, this, or double-skinned castle. And
And what was the purpose of that then?
so double-skinned was, 1, it retained some form of heat.
Right.
2, it was better for the defence system, because
If the outer wall was hit with
Yeah.
like a cannon or something like that,
Well,
the
yes.
inner wall would still
and you have to
survive.
remember, cannons only explode in movies. They don't explode.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it was the force of hitting them wall.
The
It
philosophy
didn't-
of
yeah.
that, hitting
Yeah.
a solid
Yeah.
object
Yeah.
and breaking it down. Like I said, not like Hollywood, where as soon as a cannon ball hit the field, it blew a crater the size of the moon. So yeah, double-skinned was, we're going to show you ourselves walking around within this double skin of the wall. We'll show you very shortly up the spiral staircase. But yeah, it was a defence system. It allowed people to walk from one side of the castle to the other, which we're also going to show you.
Maybe I was wrong in my assumption that you couldn't access this part, these where you're stood now, from this part here.
Yeah.
What I will say is you couldn't access the upper floors from inside
From
here.
inside here, that's right.
That's what
Yeah,
I believe.
I dare say there may have been a doorway here, just to your left, where a carriage may have stopped, a horseman may have stopped, and then went into the lower level, the
But what you
ground
can
floor.
see, Neil,
Yeah.
see these things here that go up.
Ah, right.
So these were where walls were.
Yeah.
You've got one on either side, and they're very much the same on this side and over there. Hence why you had that, and this thing here, this was all arched in.
That's right, yeah.
Whether there was a door
Central,
here to enter both sides of this bottom floor, but this area is what was defended, wasn't it, by the guards?
That's right.
And we have a little place just here, and we'll take them in, shall we?
Yeah, take them in.
So the guards would come in here and defend themselves. If you, and it's very dark in here, but what you'll see is they used to be able to see anything coming up from this end and fire out that. Would it have been bow and arrows back in them days? Neil?
Yes, I would have thought so. The earliest probably method other than that would have probably been your 303 style Lee Enfield, but they would have had to put the actual round into it and stuff it with gunpowder, rod it, and then fire it out.
I see what you mean.
I mean, I don't know much about my weapons and the era of them. I mean, maybe someone watching this would be able to tell us.
What I'll do is I'll do a little bit of research after
Yep.
this video, and
Yep.
then I'll put some pictures of the weapons
Yes,
that would
great,
have been
yeah.
most likely used in this place to defend it.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep. There is some signs of, I don't know if it's erosion or it's actually where it possibly could have been under attack on the outside of the wall, and we will cut into one of them shots and bring it back to this point here. Again, if anyone knows any more than what we are talking about in this footage, then it'd be good for you to comment now and put them comments in here. We found very little on the history of this place. Wikipedia is sharing some of that information with us, but yeah, it's a lovely place. So what we'll do now, we'll probably take it upstairs.
This here,
fireplace.
that's a fireplace.
Yep. Yes.
And that would have been the only one on this side.
It appears so on this side, yeah.
There may be there's been another one over here. Yeah, I mean that's you can see it's a fireplace,
and it's probably been used when people come here late at night.
So they've been and probably used by the guards to keep, you know, when they came out of on lookout and. Well,
wood was in abundance, and everything was sourced from the landscape, wasn't it? The trees were chopped down.
These were very large, though, considering if it was to be defended, wasn't it? I mean,
it is. But we only see the kind of them small windows like this one here on the lower level, which tells me that the people of the house, the castle, whatever, the landowners would have had more than just a little slotted window like that, which you've just seen there. Yeah. It looks like this level was the defence side of it.
Yeah.
And in the event of an attack, would they have took them to an escape area, maybe underneath?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that would have been the main entrance anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
This bit that we showed there, just down here, that would have been the main entrance, and that would have been arched in. So they couldn't. Whether they could access this side from that point, I don't know.
So what was stopping them getting through this doorway then? Wasn't that one of them? I know there was no drawbridge, but they had some form of defence on here, didn't they?
They did, and we'll
forget
go
the
a
name
little
of
bit
it.
closer. I think it was called, if I'm not mistaken, a palisade.
That's it, palisade.
And this gate would have been a similar type of gate would have been took up, and as you can see, there's an area all the way around here where this gate would have risen right up and would have allowed access into this point.
Yep.
And
that would have had spikes on the bottom.
It would have had spikes on. And what I'll do now is I'll put a picture in and show you what this would have been like. And I'm sure you've all seen them on the movies.
I can say many years ago when I came here, and it was around 10 years ago, these wooden gates which you see now were not on this location.
No, that's right.
These have been added by a local craftsman.
It'd be interesting to see above here whether there was something up there that would have enabled them to draw it up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But that's where it was. It was a gate that used to rise up when they needed to gain entrance into here.
Probably went beyond that opening there. I wonder if there was a pulley system on there.
There's got to have been a pulley system to lift it up.
Because you can see it. You can see beyond the brickwork. Let me just see if I can get a better stable shot. So the point I'm looking at now is this void in the wall, and you can actually see behind it, but you can't fit behind it, where these windows or entrances here, you can access them, where this one may have had some form of pulley system where that thing, the shutter came down with the spikes on and trapped anyone from.
Well, it'll have been closed anyway.
Yeah,
and anyone who wanted to come in there, they'd have to lift it up. But that's the. And it was the same on this side as well, Neil.
Yep, exactly.
There was a palisade door on this side, and this side would have risen up as well.
Yeah, of course.
So it would have protected behind me.
Yep.
So they'd have had to get through two doors. And they got through that one, then all these people in here would have been up on these floors here and there, and have been able to fire down on them. And you know, when you're above an enemy, you've got the advantage, haven't you?
Of course, yeah.
That's what would have happened.
Yeah.
So let's have a little walk
around.
To the spiral staircase.
Yes, yes.
Now, as I said to you before, you weren't able to access the upper floors in this from inside here. So let's take you to that. And thankfully, we've been given permission off the kind owner.
Yes, the gentleman's called Mark. That's all he wants to be known as. He's one of the landowners of this location, and he's gave MC Urban Exploration permission to film and be here today and tonight.
I love these old stone staircases, don't you?
Yeah, they remind me when I went to York Minster and went right to the top.
So that bit there would have been where a guard would have been as well.
So that takes us on to the second level, I believe, doesn't it?
Well,
oh no, it doesn't.
It does, Neil.
Yes, it does.
It does
yes,
take you to the second level.
Yeah.
So as you can see out here, we're actually up now on the second level. Do you want to come through, Neil?
I'm just wanting to look at that area above the door, what we talked about.
Has that bit there been closed off there?
No, it's still open there.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So
because we'll be able to go up to the top there and show them that. Don't stand on that bit. So this is the upper floor. That's strange, Neil. Now we're up here, I can see the shape of a roof on this side.
Yep.
As well. So, Neil, what I'm saying is, you know that gate?
Yes.
I think it actually risen into that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And you can actually see some indentations or where woodwork would have gone into it.
Yeah.
It's if though there's been like maybe wedges or something to keep it up.
Well, I'm going to go over anyway and just have a quick look. And this is all for you guys, not for me. So yes, yeah, as you can see, the gate will have risen all the way from down there up here.
So whilst you're there, dude, this is the double-skinned area I'm in. Because you've got the camera on me, then you can keep the same audio. This is where it comes along, and we're on now the second floor, and it now drops back down to almost the first floor. So it's like there's a doorway which comes out down there, and it doesn't make sense. I think there's an area filled in here because I'm now going to go right down towards there, but on this side, but I'm still not on the bottom floor, if that makes sense. I'm not back to the ground floor. Let me just show you, so I'll go down now.
I can see that, yeah.
It's very sandy and dusty down here. So is this another guard's room in this corner? And obviously once you come over here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm at that level now, but on my side. Let me just pop into here. Right, so I'm on first floor, what we talked about. But this hallway takes you up to second floor. And again, there's areas here with very slim windows where you would have flanked the rear of the castle, the fortress, and then protected this side of it, the west facing or the northwest facing, from a potential attacker. And then these stairs take us back up to the second floor. And again, the windows are here, very narrow windows which would have been used within this double skin of the castle, the fortress. So, because all these windows are within the skin of the wall, did the soldiers use this to run around the outside of the castle, but within the castle, if that makes sense?
It's a possibility, isn't it?
Because you've got your grand windows and your big windows, but then you've got a skin inside.
See, the thing is that they needed access to be able to see that. It's a strange one because once they've got into that gateway there, there's a roof over that, wasn't there?
Yep, that's
so
right.
They wouldn't have been able to fire down into there anyway.
No, not for me. Only
from being in the actual land, in the land.
Yeah. So in the location where you're in now, you would only be able to fire outside to attack, and these looking out now are doorways coming into the skin of the wall.
Yeah. This just must have been access to certain rooms.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And nothing more than that, or maybe access to the guard points as well for the guards, and maybe some member of people. Because remember, out here there was floors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So there was one here and one, probably about 7. There must have been small ceilinged rooms, some of them, when you think about it. Mind saying that? No, that's quite high because that's down there is one floor, and then the second floor would have been here.
But if you look at these stones above us as well.
Yeah, so there's the floor in Joyce here. There, and they would have gone, so that would, see, they've had to step down a little bit into there. And then there was another row of things there. I love the guttering that they've got on there.
Yeah, it's
and it's
doing a better job than our modern guttering now.
Right, Neil, shall we go down and show them the, what do you call them, the little bunker things?
Well, are the cellars, are the undercrofts?
Undercrofts, I think they were called. It's where they used to store the food.
Well, if that was the case, and we're going to ask the theory of this, and is it what it is?
Yeah, all right.
By the 17th century, the medieval tower house was once more in royal hands, but it was allowed to lapse into a state of poor repair. A smaller house was erected within the castle grounds, and this house was in use for a century, but when the Bruce family took ownership, they pulled down the castle and later the house, and used the stone as building material for other projects. More stone was removed in 1875 to help build the parish church in Swainby. Equally impressive as the Gatehouse is the remaining stone undercroft of the tower house, built of sandstone ashlar. The vaulted undercrofts feature some nicely pointed 14th century windows, and you can see a staircase with an arched doorway on the west side. The castle is privately owned, having been bought by the first Viscount of Ingleby in the mid-20th century as part of the shooting estate, and it is now Grade 1 listed.
We've learned some great information, haven't we?
Absolutely mind-blowing.
Which is pretty good for this place because there's not much out there, as we've spoke to you about before, haven't we?
Yes,
do you want to
right.
tell them what we've learned?
So in order for us to be here today, we did the right thing. We spoke to the landowner and a brother of the landowner.
Yeah.
And he's called Mark, that's all he wishes to be known as. And he's been back and forth, just giving us little snippets of information which has come to mind. And he's just turned up and gone, and he's given us some valuable information which changes how we initially looked at this as history.
Definitely. I mean, one of the things was actually where the camera is sat is actually the original tower, isn't it? We didn't know that. I mean, and this is above those, what did you call them?
The undercroft, what we named as the cellars.
Yeah, well, that is actually where the original tower was.
And the stone trough, which we called a trough, which we thought was for water, and we'll cut to pictures of these, is
a bath.
It's a bath. So we didn't know this. I mean, obviously what you can see behind us was a later addition, but these are fascinating facts for us.
Yeah. So what we thought was the original Whorlton castle and everything else stemmed from there. And this is going to rewrite what you've already listened to already, guys, because we haven't got the time of the day to go back on ourselves, but we want to put the record straight.
Yeah.
So what Mark said is this castle here, this fortress, is a late addition.
Yes.
What we are cutting into now is the original castle, which had a tower as high as you could see, and it was a lookout tower. It was sat on the west side of the Cleveland Hills, and the people here, the soldiers or whoever, would have actually went down and collected a toll from the people passing through. So obviously these were taxes which you had to pay back in the days.
Well, it's very true. I mean, it's fascinating for us to actually get this, because as I said earlier, there's not a lot of information out there, and we know that was a later addition from the 14th century, or so they say, but we do now know that the tower was here in front where the camera is sat, and we'll cut to pictures of that. And it was fascinating to find out that was a bath.
I know, yeah.
You know?
We'll get some more images of that.
We'll
I know we've shot them already, but we'll go back to them and we'll address what we are now looking at in front of you as being the original castle, fortress, tower, and this is the late addition. Not that where the roof was and everything came this way, but everything from here went that way, and that is a late addition.
That's
I think I've explained it right.
I think you've explained that pretty damn good.
So
the place we're going to now is the, I keep forgetting its name for some reason.
The Holy
Cross
Church it is.
What significance is this? Well, I can tell you there's some part of that family that was to do with this. I think it was the de Meynells or something. There's a thing in there made out of bog oak.
Oh yes, which is
inside this church.
An effigy.
An effigy, yes,
of some famous person.
Yes, I think it's the de Meynells, but that's
right.
Inside this church, isn't it?
Yes. Now this is in two parts, this church, but we'll bring that to screen now for everyone to have a look. Well, there's the original church, or what's left of the original church, which they've created a shrine.
Yeah.
And there's an effigy in there, isn't there?
There is, made out of bog oak, and I think it's of the de Meynell family. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I shall confirm that.
Yep. And then when you move further to the west wing of the church, it's just ruins, but we're going to show you them ruins now.
Right.
And it's very much like if you've ever been to Whitby Abbey and you've walked through what's remaining. It's got that feel to it, it has. And built shortly just after Whitby Abbey as well.
Okay.
The church is dedicated to the Holy Cross and was known as the Church of the Holy Rood prior to the Reformation. Inside Halton Church is an effigy which commemorates the second Lord Nicholas de Meynell of Halton Castle, who died in 1322. It is made of bog oak. It's hollow and was originally packed with charcoal to preserve it, and it is thought to be the only wooden, London-made military effigy in Yorkshire. By the middle of the 19th century, the struggle against decay and the battle of trying to heat the building were taking their toll. There were more entries in the accounts for repairs to the stove, mending the old stove, coal for the new stove and new galvanised iron stovepipe than any other single item. On 7th of March, the fourth Sunday in Lent in 1875, the old parish church was used for the last time for a divine service. It would be a sad occasion for the worshippers, who would regularly climb the hill Sunday by Sunday to kneel in prayer there for the last time.
Yeah.
So folks, this is going to be the end of this video. We do really hope you've enjoyed it. We've found some fascinating facts about this place. We're over the moon actually that we've got to speak with the landowner, and he's told us some great interesting stuff, isn't he?
Well, yeah, like Paul said, we've learned something which we thought it was the other way around.
Yeah.
And that a historian and people who are well into the history, then it just incites us. It does, gets us very excited.
Oh, it does. I mean, the smile on our faces just for second or none.
I know, yeah.
So go on, you might as well say it.
No, so from Paul and Neil, thank you for being part of part one of what we've just done.
Yes, we must add this little bit in. This is just one of 2 videos we're filming today. Now, if you're interested in the paranormal, we are doing a paranormal video on your channel, for Neil's channel, which is GSI Paranormal. And that video will probably be uploaded in a day or 2. Around about the same time this is, hopefully. So we will leave a link in the description to that. If you are interested in that, please go along, because we're hoping to communicate with spirit at this location.
Absolutely.
So, from Neil and Paul and Neil,
from here in Swainby, at Whorlton Castle.
Whorlton Castle, yes.
But if you want to stay around for part 2, which is the sun setting, and the ideal moment is starting to happen now, then all you have to do is just stay around for part 2.
Exactly.
Take care, guys.
Bye.